Hello guys, today we're going to be working on this Whirlpool stove. The problem that we have is that we getting an error code F8E0. The model number is on the display. Welcome to DIY Repair Now. Read all the warnings, and during this video you will see one or more of these icons to help you do this repair safe. Okay, like I said before, the problem that we have is that we are getting an error code F8E0 or F8E0. As you can see on the display, this is when I first turn on the stove. When I first turn on the oven, it reached the temperature and then it gave me a F8E0 or F8E0. Okay. The problem is the cooling fan motor or the cooling fan motor hall sensor. Now, this is a Whirlpool range, and as you can see, we are turning off the breaker to prevent electric shock, just to make sure we don't have any power, so just be on the safe side. And now we are going to go ahead and start taking this panel apart to be able to get to the cooling fan motor. Now, normally what goes bad in this fan motor is the hall sensor, but it's all one piece. So once you order a new part, it comes with a hall sensor and with the fan motor. Now, if you want to work more comfortable, go ahead and do this and pull these clips out to be able to remove the door. Just make sure you pull the clips all the way out. That way when you close the door, engage the door, and then it will get that part off the door, and that's what help you to release the brackets inside the frame. Once you get that in place, just wiggle it out and it should come right out. On this one, I moved it and I'm just gonna leave this piece here, but like I said before, just make sure you pull that bracket all the way out, because otherwise you're gonna have to do what I'm doing right now to be able to pull this part where it should be. Now you have to be careful. If you're doing this, you don't want to get your hand trapped on that, but if you do it right the first time, you shouldn't do that. I just did that right there in case you don't pull that other piece all the way back, but it's very simple. Just pull the clips back. Just go back in this video and watch it a couple times. Once you pull the clip back, just make sure it's all the way back, and when you close the door, it should grab it and it should come right out. Now we're going to go ahead and remove these 3 screws that are holding this bottom panel for the touch panel. Now once you remove the screws, it's very easy. Just pull it out, and right now we're going to go ahead and remove the other 2 screws that are holding the actual touch panel. These are Phillips screws, and remove these screws are very simple. Just use your screwdriver, your Phillips screwdriver, or your Phillips bit with your drill, and just lift up and pull back. Now over here, I'm gonna go ahead and suggest you just make sure this connection for the touch panel is not pulling any stress while you pull it out, or otherwise just make sure it has enough room. That way it's not pulling and you end up breaking the touch panel connection right there. The other thing is, I see when I pull this thing down, people just said, go ahead and leave it hanging, and it's okay, but I see that these wires on these lights were kind of bent, so I can see that there has some stress, and I don't know if I'm gonna be moving this thing around. So my suggestion will be just go ahead and disconnect these lights, because if you end up breaking that tip, you're going to end up replacing the whole light for this thing, and because they will not go back in place. Or you might have to use some super glue to glue it back in place, but you're trying to avoid any more complications than what you already have by replacing the fan motor. So that is my suggestion. As you see, I make a little more room for that connection right there, because I don't want anything else to go wrong with this stuff. Now we're gonna go ahead and remove the Phillips screws. They are holding this left bracket to be able to get to the fan motor, and I'm gonna show you a couple tricks to be able to do it right in place without taking the whole stove out. You have to remove about 6 screws, and just like I said, just follow the video because this repair was a success and it will help you to fix your air code. Once you remove all the screws, this bracket will come right out, and now we can see our cooling fan. Just make sure there are sharp edges around this. You don't want to cut your hand. Just use like some kind of gloves, or just be extra careful. If you have somebody to help you, that would be great. And as you can see right now, you have to push back because there's some hooks there. So I can see the hooks right there, and the hooks goes in the 2 holes right there. But you have to push back and then lift up and pull back. Like I said, watch the video a couple times. That way you get familiar with what you do, because like I said, if you watch the video a couple times, you will be able to do this repair yourself. Now remove the other screws that are holding the other part of the glass, and we're gonna make some room because that fan motor will not come out if we don't make any more room. As you can see, I removed the screws for the other 2 brackets. It's only 2 more screws. You don't have to remove the whole bracket. But in this one, I have to use like this small Phillips screwdriver to be able to get to these screws and lift the other panel. As you see, I use sort of my drill bit box to be able to hold the glass top in place. And now I'm able to remove the fan motor out of the housing. Now I have enough space. If you don't do this, that fan motor is not going to come out. So like I said, just make some room. Watch the video a couple times. I'm going to keep telling you the same thing. So what you see on the fan motor, that black box, that is the whole sensor, and that's the part that goes bad. Sometimes it's not even the fan motor, but once you buy the new part, it comes with the new sensor, so you don't have to worry about anything else. Just order the part. In fact, there's gonna be a link in the description of this video, and I will tell you the part number in a little bit. Over here, disconnect the harness is just, it's just like a clip in place. So just press and release, and it will come right out. This is the part for the whole sensor. That's the connector, and the other one is for the fan motor. Okay, as you can see, the fan motor, I don't see anything stuck on the fan motor. It has a little tension on it, but I really believe that fan motor is still good. To me, it looked like it's the whole sensor, and like I said, there's gonna be a link in the description of this video for the part, and there's the part number on the screen. Now we're gonna go ahead and open the box and get the new fan motor. There already has a sensor on it, and you will be able to see it. Now there's one thing that I gotta tell you about this new part. Okay, the connection for the sensor is not the same, and that's why when you order this new part, it's gonna be a different part number. It's gonna be the original part number and the new part number. Once you order it with the model number of the stove, even if you see 2 different part numbers, that means they has replaced the part number, but it's the same part. Sometimes when they replace the part numbers, some things change. Like in this case, this piece is in the box as well to be able to connect the sensor, because the connection on the sensor is different. As you can see right there, it's an extra piece to be able to connect the sensor. I'm gonna put it side by side, and that's how they look. As you can see, the other one does not have that extra white and black connection right there. And now, by connecting the extra harness that was on the box, we're gonna be able to connect these 2 wires together. That is the only difference, and that's why the part number changed. But like I said, there's no big deal. As you can see, this Y connector is exactly the same, so this one did not change at all, which is the one goes for the fan motor. So that is the only difference. I wanted to address that to you guys because that can throw you off. The other thing is that this type of foam that is for the blower wheel, you have to remove this from the old part. Just make sure you grab it with the stick glue that it's in there, or you're gonna end up buying sort of another type of adhesive to keep it in place. I try to remove it in a way that the glue will stay on the old sort of a foam. We call it Armorflex when I used to do air conditioning. But yeah, this piece we have to put it back in the new one. If you have any, doubts in how this goes, just take pictures before you remove anything, and then go ahead and look at the pictures when you're going to put it on the new piece. That is the only two things that you have to concern about: this foam piece, putting it back on the new one, and the cable that was on the box. But like I said, there's no big deal, very self-explanatory. Once you put this one in place, just push it, just put some pressure on it, and it will still in place, at least for the installation. Then you don't have to worry about it. Make sure it stays in place when you put it back on. And I'm trying to get this footage that way you guys can see. You just clip that Hall sensor connection right there and the harness for the fan motor. Just clip in place. Once you hear the click, you're good. Now we're gonna go ahead and put the fan motor back in the housing and make sure everything is right, and then start putting everything back together. Now normally I speed everything up, but this type of repairs can get a little complicated. If you don't watch this video, it might take you forever to figure things out and how to take it apart. But by watching this video or a couple videos on YouTube, it gets you, right on track. As you can see, once you put it in place, now you have to pull towards you to be able to get on the hooks the way it's supposed to. So watch the video a couple times and see all these little details that is going to help you to do the repair right. Like I said, this is a cooling fan, so I believe it helps to cool whatever gets overheated on the stove. And if that sensor is not working right, the fan motor does not turn on, it gets overheated, and that's when it gives you that error code. So 90% of the time, I can say 99% of the time, it's just gonna be that sensor and that fan motor. Once you do that, the other thing that it could be is the main computer board. But for this error code, I never had that issue before. I have done a couple, and it's always the Hall sensor with the fan motor. Now we put in the screws, the filler screws back in this bracket, and we're gonna reinstall this bracket that we had to remove it completely to be able to get to the fan motor. Yes, like I said, this is the reason why I said always, guys, take pictures, because you might forget some small little details like that. And sometimes for the wiring, I do take pictures, because the wiring can get a little complicated, because you might think that you remember, then something gets complicated, and then once you go back to those wires, you completely forgot where they were, and now you have to go and read the diagram, and that's another hour trying to get to understand a wiring diagram, and you don't want to get into that. Another thing is, when you remove every single part, just go ahead and put the screws separately. Don't put all the screws on the same spot, because some of the screws are longer than the other, and just try to remember where the short screws were and where the long one was, because sometimes if you put the wrong screw in the wrong spot, you might end up creating a shortage or something like that, or piercing like a Freon thing. And when we're talking about refrigerators, but this is not the case. That's just to let you know, guys, that you have to be careful. Now, try not to tie all the screws until you get all the screws in play. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, because if you tie one of the screws, like for example in this bracket, you might end up not having a plate to be able to do the rest. As you can see right there, this one is not aligning with the hole, and it's a little complicated to put it back in place, so I had to lose the other ones up. That way this one fits right in place, which it did. At this point, I only got to put about 2 more screws, and this bracket will be right where it should be. Like I said, you might end up having situations where they're not gonna align. You just have to make it work. Now, the screw that I put before this one is the one holds the fan motor. The one is right by the one I'm doing right now, not this one. The one is right behind it. That screw is grabbing basically the fan motor, and that's the only screw besides the hooks that secures that fan motor in place. So you got to make sure you put that screw, or otherwise that fan motor is going to start rattling and it's going to make noise. So like I said, if you don't record it or you don't take pictures, just watch this video. If you have the same model, this will help you a lot in how to get it done right. Now I'm reinstalling the light wires. As you see, I look on my phone, just make sure I got them in place. Don't just go by guessing. Just look at the pictures or look at this video, and like I said, you'll be able to do it right. Now this one is very self-explanatory. Just put it back in place. You will see the 2 brackets where you remove the 2 screws at the beginning, and at this point we're pretty much done. We just have to put the 2 screws that secures the touch panel. If there's a touch, this bracket holds the touch panel and the main control board as well. Now this one, you have to use like a flathead screwdriver to be able to align the hole, to be able to put the screws where it should be, because the bracket, it has sort of a tension. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. That helps a lot to this channel, and you might end up using this channel in the future to be able to do any other repair in your home. So just consider to subscribe. This channel is getting really big, and it might help you. As you see, I use a flathead screwdriver just to align the hole to be able to put the screws, and that make it very easy. Try to put this piece where it was, as long as it's not on the way or anything. Don't put any more pressure on it, just leave it the way it was. Now we put in this bottom panel, and it has like some sort of a tabs, and the top is like a hooks. It has like 3 hooks that holds the top part, and the 3 screws on the bottom holds the bottom part in place and secures the whole bottom area. As you can see it right there. And like I said, at this point, we're pretty much done. If this video helped you in any way, guys, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. That, like I said, that helps us a lot. We don't ask for much. This is just our time, recording and editing for you guys. Now this is where I told you. Now just put the 2 parts in the front, and then push the door all the way down to be able to put the clips back in place. So you see it right there. That's how it lift when you pull it out. Just giving you another demonstration when you remove it, in case you didn't see it right the first time. And now I'm putting it back on, so just flip the clips back to the front, and that's it. The door will not come right out. Again, comment, let me know how this video helped you. And now we're gonna go ahead and turn the breaker back on and make sure everything works right. And as you can see, everything is working fine. Thanks for watching.